Welcome, everyone. Welcome to an Astral interview. And here with me, I have Angel Valade. Like, you don't know, man. Like, it's been so long. And like, I remember the very first day she walked into Astral Connections. And I remember that feeling I had that like this girl is something. She's something. She's something. That's all I can tell you. And she definitely still is and continues to be. I'm so happy to have you at one of my interviews finally.
Oh, yes, it's been
This
a
is
while.
so beautiful, so beautiful, Angel. Thank you. It's an
Thank
honor.
you. It is. We've known each other quite a few years now, so it's been a long time. One of the best interviews ever.
It was like the best interview ever.
Maybe. Wow.
Oh,
No.
spirits. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another Astral interview. And here we have Angel Valade with us. This is our second take, by the way, guys, and I'm so honored to have Angel here. And there's no way I was going to miss out on having this interview. So I just said to Angel, go take a break and come right back. And
Everything happens for a reason, so just trust it, right?
absolutely. So Angel, please once again tell us about your life, your childhood.
Oh, wow. We gotta
Tell
go
us about your spiritual experiences in your childhood. How about that?
Okay. All right. My first psychic experience I was 6 years old. I was living in Parkdale. I grew up in Toronto, and the street was called Springhurst. Um, so, and I was right at the corner of King and Springhurst, right down at the bottom. The name of the street is very important for me as
What does Springhurst mean to you?
well, remember we were talking about the play on words? Okay, so so you're a smart lady. So Springhurst. How would you read that word?
How would I read that word?
Yeah.
Um,
Spring.
spring. Well, you're gonna grow. You're gonna
Spring.
expand.
Hurst.
You're
What's a
gonna.
Hurst?
What's Hearst?
What's a Hurst? You don't know what
I
a Hurst
don't know what Hearst is.
Okay, so Hearst in the Catholic religion is the car that
The one that carries the body.
that's right, to the graveyard.
Oh my God, your sister.
So I was living on that now you see the click.
Oh my God.
See now what's happening is that we've already did an interview, so we've already went through some stories that are not going to be spoken or shared the same way as we did with the one that's not recorded. So let me just try to get your viewers to understand why that affected you so much.
Absolutely, please.
Because you got that now. Because you didn't get it in the last interview. Now I could tell that you didn't get it. Okay, so when you're coming from my childhood, metaphysical, spiritual, psychic experience, we're looking at me at being 6 years old, living on King and Springhurst. Okay, so when we go to writing my books, this is a very special street for me. Okay, I was about 6 years old. It was around the time that Elvis Presley died, which is my mom loved him. I knew who his voice was the moment I heard. Oh, geez. Anyway, so Elvis Presley had died. Our next door neighbor Annette died, and then one of my good friends, who was a man, but he would carry me on his shoulders. His name was Art, and he had died. He had died in a fire. So when growing up and hearing our how Art is in heaven,
Yeah.
I always knew Art was in heaven. My Art, my friend Art, right? And so we had my mom and her partner had a little daughter.
Our father in art in heaven.
Yeah, well, that's how I started, right? So
Absolutely,
my youngest years, I remember, right? And you always remember, right? I do anyway. Um, and so I was changing my little sister's diaper one day. She was only a couple of months old. Her poo was still like kind of orangey, so she was still like a newborn babyish, right? And I just I don't know if it was because of everybody that had died so recently or not. But I just told my mom to watch out for Dawn because I had a feeling that she was going to die. And for whatever I don't know, I woke up that night to hearing all the sirens outside of my house. There was the ambulance, the fire truck, there was police cars. And I went to go open up my bedroom door, and my mom happened to be like right on the other side, just about to lock the door. And I remember looking at her and I'm like, "What happened, Mom? Did Don die?" And I'll never forget the look of my mom's face when she closed the door and locked me in my room. And then a couple of days later, I'm sitting at, Queen Vic in the principal office, Principal Maroney. I know we used to call him Baloney. And it wasn't baloney. I felt responsible. I remember feeling really
Yeah.
deeply responsible. And that started off at 6 years old. It never
So
went away.
your mom looked at you that way, shut you out. So of course you felt responsible. But what about your mom? Did she think you did something to your
Well,
sister? Did
no,
she recognize that you had that power
she
now?
knew I had that gift. She knew that I had that gift from a very young age. This is when my first experience, right?
Right,
But my mom, she did the best that she could when she was raising me to try to
right,
help me the best that she could. But you know, it wasn't easy. Do you know what I
or
mean? Because she could only
yeah,
go from what she experienced, and when somebody does my astrology chart, they always say, "Oh, one of your parents was very strong and deep into the occult." I never knew who my father was, but like you could see, my mom was pretty well. She was my mom.
right,
She was quite the character, right? So
right,
who knows? Because I only had her till I was 19. Do you know what I mean?
right.
And
Yeah.
part of those I was rebellious years, right? But she'd try to do what she could to help me, but it was tough because I knew things that I shouldn't know,
Right.
and I would just, my mom and her friends would be sitting around drinking or partying, and I'd be like giving everybody a cold reading, telling them everything was wrong with them and why they should be, what they could do. It's like that's how a kid should be telling. It's like, what the hell kind of kid do you got here, man? Like,
Right.
And my brother was named Raymond, so here's this woman walking around with two kids named Ray and Angel. You know what I mean? Wow. But yeah,
That's
she did the best that she could. But I knew my whole life I've always been a psychic medium. I've always known stuff. I've always been shown things and told things, and for a long time it really drove me crazy, especially when when somebody's leaving. Like I knew the moment my mom left. I knew that she was going to die a year before she died. In fact, one time I even saved her life, right? So it was, and then I was pregnant, and then I felt that she was gonna die, and I went and woke her up, and she was fine. She kind of was tripped out that I thought she left, but I literally felt like she left
yeah,
me.
right.
And then she ended up dying. The last time I saw her alive was my daughter's first birthday. She died 5 days after that, and I knew the moment that it happened. I knew, same with my friend David, Tony, everybody,
Right.
Marie.
Right.
It's just like anybody that was really
Oh,
close to me, Louise too, I knew,
yeah.
and I could feel the moment that she died. I could just feel.
So all these people that Angel's naming, we just spent 2 hours talking about people. And so you guys
Thank
don't
you.
have the
I got a team on
oh,
the other side.
so
Aside
you
from the
guys don't know
obvious.
who all these people are, but we'll get it out of her again for you.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot
so
of them. There's a few.
okay, so you were in your principal's office and you were feeling like, responsible for this. And then what happened? You were just telling me.
Well, and then the childhood environment was pretty.
Traumatic, yeah.
Yeah, it was something, right? And then I hid in music a lot, right? And I was in
Yeah,
and out of foster homes and group homes and stuff like that for pretty much the majority of my childhood and early
Right.
teens, right? So it wasn't a very stable environment. But you know, I had something guiding me all the time, right? And then when I got older, it was yeah. So
So when you say you had something guiding you all the time, describe to us what that felt like, what that looked like, what that was.
it the majority of the time it's like a voice. It tells me everything. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's the vibration. But the majority of the time it's somebody talking to me. It's this voice telling me
Inside your
everything.
head, outside your head?
It starts sometimes inside the head, and then what happens is that then the voice, if it really wants to make sure that you're hearing it not only inside but on the outside as well.
Hear you.
You hear it audio, so like that clear audience. I get that, and I get it a lot where I see people, you know, they don't even know why they tell me certain things, but I'm sitting there listening to it. I'm going, yeah, okay, now I see, because they'll use people as microphones just to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm getting the messages. And they've used music a lot too, right? So music is huge for me.
Me too.
I don't know a lot of bands, but or the song names, but I know music. I know you know what I mean? Like I read. When I do know band names and stuff, that's fun because then I can
You can play with it
well,
more.
yeah, we can play with it because it's all written out, right? Like it's so beautifully. So the more that I get exposed to, the better it is for me. But for now, that was like for a lot of years, that was my hiding spot, right? And I got a lot of guidance too through music as well.
You and
Right.
previously when we were talking, you also mentioned Elvis
Yeah.
and his impact on you. So maybe share a little bit about that because I thought
Yeah.
that.
Well, he's pretty much my roommate. He's laid on his rent a lot. Actually, no, I can't. I'm hearing no, no, no. I get it. No, he's pretty good. Hey, he's fine. He's perfect paying his rent. He's a perfect roommate. Yeah, no, I was I'm very, very. Yeah, I love Elvis a lot. A lot. Uh, I've always been connected with him ever since I was a little girl. The love that my mother had for Elvis was infectious. Um,
Oh,
I
beautiful.
usually have him in every single room of my house. That's why I call him my roommate, except for like the bathroom and the kids' rooms. But any of the like main areas and the
Yeah.
kitchen, I'll put Elvis in sometimes. Like I haven't really settled in here, so he's not in every room. But he's close though. But it actually he calms me. He actually really does calm me. So like when I get worried or I get, you know, when I had a lot of doubt, because trusting isn't easy, and there's a lot of shit that I had to believe that I was like, are you kidding me? But then whatever you're believing, you're receiving, it becomes your reality, and it's limitless, right?
Right.
So he calms me. So every time I see him, calms. When I hear his voice, it's like
Oh yeah.
I get to go home. It's like I'm home, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, him and Michael Jackson. If I was to have an inheritance of, you know, those two are yeah.
Don't forget
Yeah.
Bon Jovi.
Yeah, well, that's a different story though. See, Bon Jovi, oh my God. Now, like I've been working very hard over the years not to be angry with this guy, and he's really for what? Why would Angel be angry with Bon Jovi? Okay, and this is where it's like you just gotta wait till I write this story. And
Well,
then
give
you'll
us a glimpse, so we want to read the whole
that's
story.
why I wear his shoes. Yeah, you see me sporting his shoes. Yeah, they've been I've been tripping around. I need new shoelaces definitely because they're so big. But yeah, we go tripping together. It's he helped me believe. He asked me to believe. He asked me to keep the faith. There was like certain conversations that I had with God. Okay, they were my conversations. Okay, and they had my words, my emotions, my energy, my prayers, so to speak. Okay, and he'd come out with a song, word for word, vibe for vibe, and I'd be like, wait a second, that's my conversation with God. You know what I mean? How are you writing that, right? And there's a couple of stories, you know, like I told you in our previous um interview about going in and out of the psych wards by the time I was in my early
Yeah.
20s, because I didn't want anything to do with that, right? It's too bad we didn't record that. But we'll talk about that another time. But it was New Year's Eve 1994. Listen to this. New Year's Eve 1994. They previously let me out on a weekend pass, and they told me the voices in my head, which, by the way, when they sat me down in a room, there was a psychiatrist and a therapist, and they both asked me if I heard voices. Above their head was a picture that said, in silence you hear the voice of God. I looked at the picture, I looked at them, I looked at the picture, and I'm like, this is, and I hear Angel, this is your easy out. And I looked at them, I'm like, in silence you hear the voice of God. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, it's right there. I was like, fucking A. So
See?
they
The
let me
spirit
know.
had a plan with this freaking interview, clearly. They didn't want you to be praised, they wanted them to be praised.
So,
That's a priceless story.
oh, I'm not done yet. Okay, so they let me out for a weekend pass. And so I'm hearing, Angel, we need you to go to the pawn shop. You need to pick up a Walkman, because this is back in the day where we had the Discman. And we want you to go buy the Bon Jovi Crossroads CD. I don't even want to tell you how, I don't even want to tell, the story is continuing. So this is from 1994 to today, okay? So it's 1994, New Year's Eve. I'm back in the hospital. I am laying in my bed. It is a half an hour before midnight. I have my Walkman and I have listening to Bon Jovi, and I'm trying not to be angry, right? Like, I'm just trying to work out my stuff, keep the faith, believe. When I bought the CD, I opened up, and I have it framed in my bedroom. I opened it up, and in it says, thanks for believing. And meanwhile, this whole time I'm going in and out of the fucking psychiatric ward because they're asking me to believe shit that's like fucking oh my fucking God, you gotta be kidding me, man. I'm going fucking insane. It's all coming at me in all different areas. Like, can't stop crying. I'm feeling everything. All this weird shit's fucking happening. My dreams are like not dreaming because I'm waking up into the dream. It's continuing. It's like, holy fuck, right? Like, it's just weird. And then I open it up and it says, thanks for believing. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. So here I am.
Literally.
Like, literally. So here I am, New Year's Eve, half an hour before midnight. And I'm listening to my Walkman with Bon Jovi on it, right? And this nurse comes in and she takes away my Walkman. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you taking away the Walkman? Like, I'm not dancing around. My hands aren't moving everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm calm. I'm cool. I'm collected. It's a half an hour before midnight, and she comes in and she takes away my Walkman. Well, I'm laying in the bed, and I'm so angry, and I'm just so angry at Bon Jovi. I'm like, I want to know, what the hell are you doing right here, right now? I'm sitting like, I'm just losing my shit, right? I'm in a psych ward. They just took away my music. I'm not doing, you asked me to believe this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just fucking raving them out, right?
Out loud or in your head?
In my head. I can't do it out loud because then they'll come and take me away and put me in a straight jacket back in the bubble.
Right.
So well, right? Like, every time I go, no. Yeah, there's so many times I went in and out of that place. So anyway, I was like, no, so it was all in my head. So the next day, the newspaper doesn't come in, right? Because it's like the next day, New Year's Day, they don't publish the paper. So we had to wait till the following day. So here I am sitting in a psych ward, and the London Free Press comes in, and it's on the table. And I look at the table, and on the front page, which I still have the clipping, there's a small little picture of Bon Jovi telling me exactly what he was doing a half an hour before midnight. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh my God. Yeah,
I got me sitting in a psych ward.
I believe it.
Oh yeah, I have no choice. Like, there's so many stories, Cheryl, it's not even funny. Like, I cannot wait to start writing that. I cannot wait.
I hear you. I know.
So yeah, I put on his shoes and we go tripping around a bit because, like, you got to remember, we're all living on a prayer. What are we praying for? And if they showed me so much as a kid. Do you know how the shit that people fucking was telling me as a kid? How much I was conditioned and groomed for this role of whatever it is. I've been working my ass off all this time.
I know.
Do you know how many people told me that, oh, Angel, we just got to find a happy medium? Do you know how many people told me that? So one day it fucking clicked, hey, my happy medium. I got it. I have to be happy being a medium, and there is a happy medium, but we have to, you know what I mean? So it all, I can't even take credit for that because so many people told me that, because they would always tell me with the problems of the world or their problems.
Inside,
or this or
outside,
that.
right? Inside, outside. Spirit tells you something on the inside, it'll come out
Yeah. As within, so without.
the outside if
And
you don't do it from the inside.
it's crazy now, though, Shiro's. It's like, it's just incredible. I'm in so much awe. I'm so in awe.
Wow, that was a pretty crazy story.
And
So
there's
you were
nothing.
in and out. You were in and out of psych wards. So when you went in and when you went out, what was causing you to go in and out? Like, why did you stay out once you came out?
Because sometimes some of them were involuntary. I actually came across some of the paperwork, and it's all documented, it's all recorded. I'm sure they have the records of it all. Sometimes they would let me out, I'd be fine, I'd come back down, and then I would leave, and then it was like I couldn't even say that I was being psychically attacked, because every time I went in, it became a different reason why. We're opening up different doors in the mind. Do you know what I mean? And they wanted me to explore things. Do you know what I mean? See things. And I was like, okay, one time I went in and out, it was for Led Zeppelin, and they were showing me some stuff, and they were showing me that I was writing on a different page. This is quite, I'm actually telling you some stuff that I don't really tell anybody, really. And so, and this was years ago, like this is back in 94. And I think just the last 4 or 5 years did I find out how much Jimmy Page was connected to Aleister Crowley. Like I just found that out. So when I was going in and out of the psych wards, and it had to do with magic and this and that, and because you got to remember there's music, and music plants a lot of, it works differently. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you're downloading that music.
Well, music is frequency, right? Ultimately.
Right. Exactly, but it's also, you've already downloaded all the messages, whether or not you're getting all of them through the music or through the lyrics, or are you even aware that you're doing that? You've consumed that. That has become a soundtrack of your life. Do you know what I mean? So they were showing me all kinds of stuff, and when I would leave, it would all come at me and I couldn't stop. Or sometimes I'm feeling all the pain and the suffering, especially, oh my God, there were so many different, I would have to really sit down and tell you how many, and I'd have to really feel safe and secure to share some of it, because it was crazy, dude. And the next thing you know, I'm fucking back in the psych ward, and it was like, okay, it's calm, it's cool, there's white walls everywhere, you know what I mean? I got my smoke, and every single time it was something different. Like I remember one time it was about Charlie Manson, and I was like totally pissed off, and I was like, fuck this shit. You guys want me to believe this shit? Then I want proof. I want to see somebody here. I want to know, I want actual tangible fucking proof that I'm talking to you, right? The next day, a new patient comes in, sits down, and he sits beside me, and he shows me this ring, and he goes, yeah, I'm a Mason disciple. I was told to come in here. And I'm like, this is all going on in my head. You know, and this is from 1994. So what year are we in now? So when you take a look at why is it taking me so long to market and promote myself as a psychic medium, like, hold up, wait a second, let's stop. Let's look at this for a second. What the fuck did I go through to become this psychic medium?
So wait,
this is not about money. It's not about ego. It's not about anything.
The person who came and sat beside you, the person who came and sat beside you was wearing a ring, and it was a Mason ring?
Yeah, it was for Freemason, not Freemason, but for Charlie Manson. It was a Charlie Manson ring, not Mason. That's a totally different story all in itself, because my friend in Egypt just made me take off my Freemason ring, just like last week, told me to take it off, because it's like I knew, and it was in my middle finger, right? but I understand who they are, and I know they know who I am. We have, you know, an understanding, and that's fine. And again, because you remember where we met on at Astral Connections. And do you remember how excited I was that it was like, oh my God, Astral Connections? And why? Because I knew that it's all connecting on the astral plane. How many years ago was that, Shiros? Oh,
Oh my
very,
goodness,
very
2011,
cute.
12, long time ago.
So we're making all the connections work.
Absolutely.
So whatever is going on in the astral plane, again, as above, so below, as within, so without, we have to make that all tangible, very real, a reality. So here I am waiting to see the boys, see how they're going to pave the road ahead, because I got to keep on walking. And that song has been stuck in my head for 2 weeks, like Damien Marley, got to keep on
Oh my God.
walking. Okay, I even
That's-
posted it, but now here I am having to invoice the road ahead, right? Which I'm waiting for everything to just, I don't know where we're going next, right? Egypt was
Nobody knows where we're going next. All we know is right here and right now. And all we know is that they've got our back.
yeah, and the future lives here. Like that's what I know. So if any
That's
kind of planning, and and this is where I'm so excited to talk to Michael next week on the weekend to talk about time again, and
right.
share about this clock and being in real time, because it's being in sync, right? It's the most magical, incredible thing. So I always put God first, because whatever created this, it created this, and it goes all the way to nothing. That's what I love about Buddhism, because it breaks it all down to nothingness, where the nothingness is everything, and we happen to be something, right?
So,
And then there again, there's that happy medium. We got to figure that out, right?
so tell me
Something
about,
flows through all of us.
so tell me about your experience then with Buddhism, your journey with Buddhism, and the lamas that are behind you.
The Lama, he's my friend. Yeah, he definitely gave me my initiation. I would have not have met him. I know in our last video I did a little bit of introductions towards around all of that. He's passed away now, but I needed to meet him, and because once I met him, I knew that I was going to grow. So I haven't been back to a Buddhist temple since my initiation, and our few talks after that, because I know that I had to keep on going and just
Yeah.
do what I could do. But I checked in, and we check in, and then I am being checked in. And then I don't know if you know Rico, my runaway monk across from Tibet. Yeah, he's a
No.
runaway monk. He's awesome. So like me and him were really good friends, and so I have him, and I do recognize them watching me sometimes, like from the astral
Right.
plane, right? Like I'm very aware of what goes on. I really strengthened my skills, and it's thanks to them, to the Buddhism, because it breaks it down to nothing, but then it's everything. And then somehow, some way, I'm something. And so trying to make that be just come from nothing but love, the highest vibration, which by the way is the law. And so if people really wanted to take a look more into Aleister Crowley's work, or the Madame there, like they were working on some things, and people don't understand the history, especially in terms of the occult and
Well,
magic,
maybe you can
right?
shed light on the history just a
I
little bit.
will, once I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable, more safe. I just got back from Egypt a few days ago, like on Thursday, so I'm not even a week home yet. So it's going to take me still a little bit to adjust. And I did come to the conclusion, though, because I was always worried that I was going to be exposing magicians' secrets, because you don't want to expose the magician's
They
secret.
don't want. That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
But then
We don't want you.
that little voice that always like chit chat to me was like, "Hey, Angel," I'm like, "What? The magician that you're talking about, they're your secrets. They're not theirs. These ones
Yeah.
are yours. So you're not
Well,
to worry about upsetting a fellow magician.
anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about your own secrets." And it's like, oh well, that made a little bit of sense. Okay, so how much
Yeah.
do I want to share? So first, I have to get over, which I am, of the fact that nobody wanted anything that I had for all this time anyway. Do you know what I mean? And if they did, they didn't want it. Like they wanted, no, but it has to be done a certain way, right? So I'm really looking forward to all those people that said I should be doing this, and oh my God, I cannot wait to. I want to feed them, okay? Because it's like they deserve it. They've been waiting, they've been patient, right? But it's really making sure that it's coming from a place of pure love, pure intention, because like everything, like this song, everything I do is and I've got it to the place where my life is pretty trippy, Shiro. It's like it's pretty trippy, right? And there's no going back. I went to Egypt, and I was like, "Are you sure you want me in Egypt?"
Well,
And
your
they're like,
life, your life was in and out of light and dark, and light and dark, and shadow and light worker and shadow worker, and so you those lessons, those beautiful lessons that you had in your life, or
know,
lesson
it's amazing.
you can,
I'm so blessed.
like, that you had in your life are now going to be lessons that can help others, right? Because you can only help others if you know the lesson yourself.
Well, and that's why I've been working all this time. That's been my life, my sole purpose. Every time I went through any kind of suffering, and some of it was pretty harsh, and a lot of the times I didn't even think there was like I gave up when I was going in and out of the psych wards. I did not want to be me anymore. I didn't want to do the work. I had enough. I couldn't do it anymore. I was all alone. I lost everybody. I was now responsible for 2 children, and now you want me to continue to be this. And it was so hard because it was just not the environment. Like and it wasn't me. With the environment I was living in, I was just done. And so that's why I kept going in and out of the psych wards, and they kept showing me and trying to convince me to. And then that's when they showed me my Akashic records, which, by the way, I did not know were my Akashic records till a few years ago from you guys. And then I was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. Like, this is like how many years now? And now I find out that so it was always having all these experiences, and then having the experiences to piece all that, whatever I went through together. Right?
Yeah, I know the
So
drill.
when
Yeah.
I see the cars go by and I see the future live here, I just give myself a chuckle, because this place here, I said, okay, spirit, you're up. And it just the way I got, like, everything, it's just incredible. Rose, it blows my mind. And every single day that I'm not sharing it or writing it, or it really, it's getting to me. And then I'm feeling a lot better now. You know what I mean? Egypt really did the trip, and the whole way that it all happened and how it all came to be, that was nothing but pure spirit. There's so much content of spirit and God in my life that,
So there's a few things I want to ask you. One, can you tell everybody a little bit about the shadow versus the light worker, and why you kind of have to engage in both?
So we're going to ask this question again. Okay, so let's see if I can answer this way better. Okay.
Yeah, very good. It's an important question.
It is a very important question, especially if you want to go out being a light worker, because you don't really want to be blasting your light. You have to be conscious. You got to be aware. There's people that live nocturnally. That means they don't have that high of vibration. They operate on a lower vibration. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean that they're wrong or anything like that. It's just that, some light people are very, very airy and very high energy, and we're a lot of people, they're more nocturnal, they're more lower, they're more earthy, they're more detached. It's more of a darker energy, right? And so for a light worker, without doing shadow work, that means you're not balanced. You're not knowing, you haven't done your shadow work. And I've seen a lot of practitioners stuff their shadow work. They don't deal with that. Do you know what I mean? They detach. They think the detachment, that is detachment.
Negative.
That's not detachment. That's avoidance. Do you know what I mean? So detachment is looking at it, seeing it, feeling it, sitting with it, understanding it, being with it. Like, everybody's going to experience negative aspects. Pick a sign. You're gonna have your positive and your negative aspects. Do a chart. You're gonna see all kinds of challenges, strengths, weaknesses. So doing your shadow work is really taking a look into yourself and knowing thyself, right? But from a light worker's point of view, wanting to do light, especially trying to bring light to others, the ones that are in darkness, you have to know how to cast the shadow to do that. Okay. And light, and that's how you light is the only thing that's going to do cast that shadow. So you want to know the intensity of the darkness. And you can't, if you don't know the darkness, how are you going to be able to shine a light? The analogy I think you're looking for is my cockroach analogy, because I really like that one. It's the dimmer switch. You can't go in and just blast your light in a room full of cockroaches, because they're all going to scatter. Nobody's going to listen to you. And it's like, fuck, whatever, man, this chick is whacked, right? So you have a dimmer switch, and you have to know all your frequencies anyway. So if you want to be, it's everything is energy too, right? So you have the higher vibrations, things that you're going to see in light. Sometimes it's too bright, right? You can't see all this light.
And also, just because you're nocturnal now doesn't mean you're not going to be high, elevated, airy you know, later, or vice.
So there's a happy medium with me.
That's what life is, and that's what creates the balance, right?
Well, it's like your television converter that takes two, you know, two batteries. You're not going to be able to put two batteries in it the same way. You have to have them in opposite directions, one in one negative, right? But like for having that, this yin and the yang, knowing the balance, like power there's power in anger. Do you know what I mean? Like if you know how to channel that energy, oh my God, it can be constructive or destructive. And there is duality. That's the karmic law. It's a universal law, the law of duality.
The whole thing is acting from a place of love versus fear, and acting from a place of not reacting, basically, and acting from a place of intent. But you can be in both. You can be in anger and be in intent, and you can be in anger and be in fear, and you can be in anger and be in reaction. And so anger isn't necessarily the bad thing. It's how you address the anger. That's
well, Cheryl, I was going to tell you something. I have my, whatever I'm thinking and planning and putting out there, I create. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something very personally. I have and had lived a very dark, I've seen the dark side of who I am. And I've seen how fast it can, you know, and I saw the causes and how I chose to react, the toxicity that I had. And of course, I have to take responsibility to change it. But in order for me to change that, I have to take a look at that behavior, see the triggers, the roots. Like that's a lot of work. And you can't just ignore it and go, I'm just going to be all positive and it's all going to be. And there's all this deep-seated healing. And then that's what I find a lot within the metaphysical industry, right? So like it's different. It's different than what it should be. Do you know what I mean? Like people, we really, it's knowing thyself. Knowing thyself is one of the most powerful things. And that's a true alchemy, is to go in there and bring something and bring gold into it. So like my dark personality traits, where I go or where I went, I know I can see that coming from somebody else. So automatically it's serving as a protection, because it doesn't mean that I'm that way anymore, but because I really acknowledged seeing that within myself. And you got to remember, everybody is a mirror anyway. So whatever you're experiencing or personality or anything like that, that's all within yourself, working yourself out somehow to correct and raise and grow and learn in consciousness. That's why it's really important to be able to take a look at people and go, oh, that's all I've ever heard is, Angel, where are they? Who are they? What are they doing? What do they need? You know what I mean? Like it was always because they were a part of me. So if I'm collecting them, if I'm figuring out where they are, then I'm figuring out myself.
Where you are too. Yeah. And like I said to you in the recording that we lost, I salute you, Angel, because the person I met at Astral Connections, that very first time I met that person, and the person that I'm talking to now are two totally different people. Whatever growth happened in that time made you who you are right now, and you can feel your journey. You can feel everything you went through in that time, and how you've grown, and how even the confidence that you have when you speak and when you share something, it's of another level. And you can tell that you're connected. You can tell that you're connected to spirit, to God, and that you're not going to let anything sever that connection or take away from that connection. You've got that solidity that this is it, you know. This is my bar, and I'm not dropping from that bar, kind of.
You know, yeah. When you just said that, like about sever that connection, right away, what I hear is like from a psychic medium point of view, you got to let's take a look through history and how many people have been crucified or died or are murdered, or do you know what I mean? Like just from a psychic medium point of view, how much of that has been. So like we are now, right now, and I'm saying we because it is a collective on the other side here, a different time and place now. It's time to be able to, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the road ahead has in store for me. All I know is that I'm going to keep walking with God. You know what I mean? Like it's incredible. I'm in awe. I'm just in awe. And I know I made the commitment and the deal. It was a deal or no deal. And I made it, and it wasn't with the devil because he couldn't afford the contract fee. You know, it was he couldn't afford recorded. So he became a friend of mine, and he just kind of helps me out with some of the details. I just don't worry about it, because the way he says it, he's piggybacking with me, right?
Well, you know what they, you know what they say, right? You keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies closer.
Yeah, I don't really, somebody wants to be like that, that's fine. I've already experienced so much from what people can be, their hatred, their greed, their,
Yeah.
and I'm confident that I can still respond back. Like, oh, I'll get pissed off without a doubt. And I learned how to get my boundaries going, but I'll always come back from that love part, because that really truly is the law, and it's the
Well,
highest vibrations. And there's these things that have happened, like so many stories, Shiros, that will just blow you away. And yet here I am living
I,
them every single day, and I don't get to share them. And why? Because I had issues with an ego. I had issues about fame and fortune and money and all this shit. So over the years, I've been trying to work with that, like
yeah.
there's a dollar buried by Kurt Cobain's tree growing interest as we speak. You know what I mean? Like, there's some real weird voodoo stuff that I did do that probably helped contribute to the madness that I experienced, because it is as above, so below. And so my art was in heaven, right? But I also created art here, and that's
Yeah.
there's so many intricate stories. And so the growth that you've seen in the last decade, just remember, just remember how excited I was when I saw it was Astral Connections. Like, just think about that. How excited was I? Because why, Angel? Why were you so excited for Astral Connections? Because it was all connecting on the astral plane. I mean, it would only be a matter of time before it all comes and filters down. And I just had to trust. I just had to wait. And every single day there's more stories being written, and every single day I wasn't writing. So that's why I was going to Xena, right?
Yeah.
And I was going to bring Toth down and just
Yeah.
channel Toth, and the next thing you know, I'm in
Well,
Egypt.
tell,
And I'm
tell
like, what
us
the
about
world?
tell us about Xena.
Okay, so Xena on Bowen Island is an incredible space. It's a beautiful retreat center. A friend of mine who I would always listen to, if she spoke, I'd be like, okay, my ears will be perked up. And she had named me in a comment on this writer's retreat on Xena on Bowen Island. And the woman's name was Angeline Toth, who I thought was really incredible, right? Because it was like, I'm not even going to get into all the other like connections. I'm just going to go through the main theme that got me to Egypt, okay? So I'm like, okay, Toth, writer's retreat. Even my ex and I sat there and go, gee, I wonder if, she came up with that name.
I'm not that surprised right now, because I just heard this story. But guys, Toth, like THOTH, like Toth, like how's that possible? Like,
okay, right?
we're talking about the Book of Toth. We're like, come on, like, and we're talking about Egypt, and we're talking about, like, come on.
No, just listen. So her name is Angeline Toth, and she's on Bowen Island, who a very close friend of mine is on Bowen Island. So there was two connections there. And it was Toth. And so my ex and I were working one day, and we sat there, and I was telling him about this, that I wanted to go. And I'm like, oh, gee, I wonder if it's her real name or if she made it up. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure. Because like it kind of makes sense, right? Go either way, I'm going to go to Walmart, I'm going to buy myself an outfit, and I'm going to put Toth on it's beautiful. It was a black hoodie and pants, and I put gold Toth and the eye of Horus. It was so sweet. It was so good. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go there, and I'm gonna bring Egypt to me, right? And I'll just channel Toth at Miss Angeline Toth's place, right? And I get there. It turns out she doesn't remember who Toth is. She wasn't really totally completely aware. I was like, oh, wow, are you serious? And it turned out to be her real name. So I was like, oh wow, then this outfit is for you, right? And she had written a book called Radical Trust, which that was another thing, connection that was really big for me, because of course I'm remembering all this radical trust that I had to have over all these years, and people thought it was actually crazy. I almost questioned it. Do you know what I mean? I got a couple of answers. Turns out not. I couldn't have it that easy. No. So here we go. And before I even got to do that, to Xena, I was offered a trip to Egypt, and I was like, whoa, can I do that? And I was like, are you sure you guys want me in Egypt? Me, the spirit. They were like, oh yeah, we have to. I'm like, okay, well then I'm just gonna. And that's what I do. I just get out of the way and I'm like, okay, you guys take care of it. And then I have to wake up every day and then just do what they present to me, right? So, but I don't worry. So it's like, you guys want me, this is how much it's going to cost. You know, I give them the numbers. They just want numbers and then they figure it all out. And I'm like, okay, right? So next thing you know, I'm in Egypt and I'm like, oh my fucking God. I'm still processing it. It was an incredible trip. I think it totally, completely did the trick. I have been more grounded than I have ever been in my life. I feel more confident and secure with my relationship with
Tell
God.
everyone about grounding.
Okay, well, there's lots of different ways to ground, as I'm sure. You've got, you know, the visualization of the roots going into the tree, and you have, you know, the white light surrounding you.
But talk to those who don't even know what grounding is.
Okay, so
What is grounding?
yeah,
Why do you need it? What are
you need to know that. Yeah. So if you're a person that brings in a lot of energy or high energy, or you're psychic or you're medium, you know, they have medium tendencies and you're not sure, or you know, and it's glowing all over the place, it's really important for you to be able to have a solid base in which you're able to channel that energy through and allow it to flow through. So it's not getting all caught up in your mind, in your body. It just channels right back. To the earth, to God. Like, so me, one of my biggest, what grounds me is God. I just call on God. Some people call on Archangel Michael. You can call on the angel. Me, it's just, for me, God, spirit, right? But spirit is more like my buddy. It just helps me out and it flows through everybody, right? So God is something different. But the grounding is really, really important, especially because you need an outlet as well, right? So you need to have something to because if you're a conduit, it needs to be going somewhere, right? And so the more able that you're grounded, the more it's able to be able to flow through. So for me, I ended up digging my feet into the Nile because I was always running around all over in denial. And that's really where we find ourselves not being grounded. Our energy's all over the place. You know, bipolars can tell you that too, like people that suffer from bipolar. You know, they go from one extreme to the other, which is really funny because now I'm doing readings out of the extreme and delta, right? So it's like, you know, and that's what they tried to tell me that I had, but I knew that I had to find a happy medium, like a ground. Yeah, because we will go from one extreme to the other, especially for people that are empathic, right? You know, that it can feel other people's energy. Are you picking up on people's thoughts? And a lot of people don't know how to even express themselves. Like I don't know about you, but I could always tell what people were thinking. It was the shittiest fucking thing, because then you have to pretend that you didn't know what that person was just thinking. And it's the worst thing ever. Like, I mean, I should be winning some major acting awards, okay? Just saying.
I can't know what people are thinking, but I can feel what they feel is how it happens.
I get both.
I can feel what's about to be felt, or let's put it that way.
Well, I know for sure the grounding helps. It helps you stay sane. So finding anything that grounds you. Sometimes it's music. Different types of genre of music will ground me, right? Some music has me going like crazy. So, you know, like, again, be grounded. Have a home base that you can just, right?
Right.
However, there's lots of tips and tricks and techniques. I've heard a lot of them. The one that I really like is the one when you're visualizing the roots going into the earth from your feet. Like that's a very powerful one.
Yeah.
Right. But then you can't be scared of the earth, right? And the earth is extremely powerful. So you can't be weak about things. You have to be a spiritual warrior or a spiritual gangster. You know what I mean? You have to really face some of that fears too, especially the fear of the unknown. Because that can set you off flying all over too, especially when you start knowing things, because some people can't handle the truth too, you know what I mean? Then what level of truth, what side of the truth? Is it the whole truth, nothing but
so
the
if you're how how much truth can you even handle, right? Like,
And if you're not doing any shadow work, none. If you haven't figured out who you are as a trans-dimensional being, nothing. If you haven't have that consciousness awareness, not very much. You're still going to be stuck more in that conditioning phase, the consumer phase, where that's where you're going to be eating up all the music and the, you know, the movies and the games and the fashion and all the things that inspire people to create. You're just a consumer of that creation, right?
So tell everyone about tarot. When did it start in you and where is it at now?
Okay, so I've always not been a fan of tarot cards. In fact, I did everything I can to avoid psychic mediums and everything because I didn't need to.
Yeah, I remember.
And for tarot cards, I remember it was in 1996, I received my first tarot deck, which is 1909 original print of the Edgar Waite Pamela Colin Smith one. But I think this one was in association with Aleister Crowley because it's the Thoth Hermes tarot, but it's the Edgar Waite Pamela Colin Smith deck, and it's really old. So I got that deck handed to me, and again, I don't do tarot, but she said you had to give it to a museum, that I couldn't get rid of it, and I was like, okay. So it's now at Azina's. I gave it to Angeline to hold on. It's you know, just she's there. The deck is there at Azina's for when I get back or whatever. That's just there. And so I went out and I found this deck at the Visions bookstore in New West. The same year, so 1996. And this is the Osho Zen Tarot. I love this deck. I love using this deck. I have multiples, as you can see, and I have way more at home or downstairs. But this one here is my favorite. It has 79 cards versus your 78. The 79th card being the master card, which you really want to do is become the master of your existence. And they changed the magician to existence. So they kept the same kind of theme like the regular tarot, but they changed things around. And I love this deck. And I've used it for so many years. And then I think it was a couple of years ago, a friend of mine was like, hey, Angel, you got to watch that Wild Wild Country. Isn't that dude in your tarot deck? And I was like, what?
What's that supposed to mean?
And then I watched it and I was like, okay, well, that explains that. Because every time I run into somebody that's done an Osho thing, I just like, wow, you know, I just kind of rebel. You know what I mean? I don't want to be a part of it, but I love his deck, right? So then I love this. This deck loves me. Like, I mean, it is what it is, right? But I watched that Wild Wild Country, Cheryl. I swear to God, I did not want to ever like pick up this deck again. I was like, oh my God, have you watched it? You gotta watch it. It was like, oh my God. The dude had 365 Rolls Royces, 3 planes. By the time he was dying, he couldn't even find anywhere. He had to go back to India. He had little communities, oh my God, dude, you have to watch this show.
Okay, I will. I will.
You want to have future interviews with me? You want to see why I was always so triggered not to go out there and do my thing? Watch this show.
I will.
Watch this show. And then I want you to think, okay,
everyone watch it too, and we'll
and then you watch it go,
Angel afterwards.
What can we do, Shiro?
Yeah.
No, for real, like it was brutal, man. I was just like, I don't want to use these cards anymore. And then I was like, Angel, you have to, and these are so good. Like the relationship that I have with these cards they're like literally incredible. Like they blow me away. So and they blow my clients away when they're getting their readings, right? So it's like they work, right? If I had to do cards, I'm using these ones. And then I found out that I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do these anymore. I don't want to use them. And then I got reamed out by spirit, and they're like, pick one. And then it's like, well, what happened is that I'll have a word in my head or a theme or a sentence, and then I'd pick the card and it's like bang on, or I pick the card with the word that I'm in the sentence with. So it's so in sync. So like say blah, 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 and I pick up and it's like blah. Oh, so here we go. It's the friendliness, right? Which is us, what's happening right now, right? But it's just incredible. So I use this deck. I do use some of Doreen Virtue's, which I feel so sorry and partly responsible for what happened to her. Um, but I used a couple of her decks, and poor girl doesn't like, just yeah. And then yeah, I got lots of other ones that I float around in. I don't mind them. I've got a relationship. So I'll pull 3 cards. Where are you? Oops. 3 flew out. Are you there? To shine, shine, shine. Where are you? Are we back?
Okay, we're still recording. Yes, and we're still recording. Thank God. Yay.
Shine, shine, shine. I got that song stuck in my head now. So I pulled out 3 cards anyway. So we're looking at the ripeness card. So knowing that we're ready, right?
Yeah.
Ripeness. And then this came out, the clinging to the past. So letting go of the past, embracing the future. Remember the future.
Way too hard. That's way too hard for me.
But you're ready for that. And the 3rd card, which is a repeat, is the friendliness card. So I'm gonna pull another one.
Okay.
And you have friends, right? They can help you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You have to. The past is sometimes really, 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 really hard to let go of. The thing that I found, and it has the card like in this, is integration. If you can integrate your past, present, and your future, it's incredible. I don't know if how long you've been watching the journey and how closely, but you would see over the last, say, even the 6-7 years, every trip that I made to go back east, how much did it was all about.
Well, I want you to.
Hmm?
I want to congratulate you on everything you did to get your children back.
Aw.
That
Yeah,
was
that was a long time ago. That was
still, and now I watch like your relationship with your children now. But that relationship wouldn't be what it was if you hadn't done back then what you did to get your children back.
well, yeah. Well, I needed to do it, right? Like I needed to leave the environment that I was in, and I had nobody to watch them. I had nobody to take care of them, So
Maybe
society.
talk about that a bit, about that decision you made to leave Toronto and come to BC and how that happened.
By then I was living in London, Ontario, and it was a very dark place for me. And I was going in and out of the psych wards. I didn't want anything to do with any of who I was. I didn't want nothing to do with any of it. And it took some convincing. Like I said, I was in and out of the psych wards, and they were showing me. There's actually a couple cool stories about this. But I was being shown that I needed to come to BC, that I needed to get ready, I needed to get set, and then I was going to grow. And they actually told me at that time that people would be able to get angel readings by me, that I'd be an angel. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, there's no fucking way. Right. So they're showing me all kinds of stuff.
I think that's what I said to you when you walked in. Angel reader or something like that.
Yeah, that was So this is 1994. So 95. And then so I'm in the psych ward, and I told them that I needed to go to BC. I needed to find a shared vision and a common ground. And I know I'd be able to find it there. I had no idea that those publications were here. So when I saw those when I got out, I lost my mind again. I thought I was going crazy, right? But I said I needed to get ready and I needed to get set and grow. And that's where I ended up meeting Louise. It was at the Ready, Set, Grow daycare at the New Westminster High School when I'm trying desperately to get my high school education. Still don't have it. I will one day. Lots of other secondary education, just not my high school. And so that decision that I had to make, that was really it. I was being shown, right? And at that time I had 2 kids. So if I didn't have any kids, then it wouldn't have mattered. It would have been my life. I wouldn't have been responsible for anybody else. But because I had those 2 kids, that I was also responsible for them.
Absolutely.
So they ended up going into care because I had nobody to watch them. And So they let me come out to BC, and had to do everything that I had to do out here. So I had to go through the mental health out here, the social workers, court systems, and I had to go back to Ontario, go through the court systems there, and then fly them back out. And then they had to endure a lot of years with me trying to figure all this shit out. So now at 31 and 28, they have a few scars that my younger girls do not. They remember, they went through that, and
Um,
it's a beautiful thing, because I can look at my kids and I can feel really, like my older ones, I can feel proud of myself, because I
yeah,
know that they saw me work hard,
yeah,
and they know that whatever I did, that they got, because that's where I got my strength from, was from my mom, was from my
right,
grandma, what I
right,
mean, my lineage.
right.
Right? And then the more that I believed, the more that I received, and then me trusting everything a little bit more easier, right? Still is
Yeah,
crazy.
of
Crazy shit
course.
happened. Then I got figured out. It's just crazy stuff that happens. It's not me that's crazy, but how I react to it when it happens, that's my
That's
responsibility. So that took a little bit of work.
yeah, it's not whether it's good or bad or right or wrong or any of that. It's how we
This is
react
what
to
it
it,
is.
how we
Yeah,
act
it is.
towards
It is.
it, and
Yeah.
towards knowing that knowledge, right?
You gotta remember too, sometimes with people in general, a lot of people are stuck in their suffering,
Right,
so you're dealing with a lot of projections,
right.
like, is that who they are? No.
So then, we talked about your childhood. We talked about your adolescence. We talked about your tarot. We talked about your experience with Buddhism. Tell me a little bit about, in more detail, a little bit about your experience in Egypt right now.
Oh, um, I'm still processing Egypt. Um, it was incredible. It was one of the best experiences that I've ever had in my life. Um,
Is there like has there been other travel experiences in your life that were that maybe led to this one or anything like that?
yeah, kind of, sort of. I've traveled a bit. Like, I've been to Australia. There's a story with that one. Jamaica 3 times. Definite stories with that. Um,
Okay, tell me the stories.
well, that will take a bit.
Okay,
So we might have to do that on another interview, if
okay,
maybe. But to answer your question, if there would be another travel experience that would have led me to Egypt, it would definitely have been the ones that I experienced in Jamaica.
wow,
And the first 2 times that I went was in 1992. Um, I turned 21 in a Jamaican jail and prison. So just
wow,
so you know how some of that story goes, right? So I did some time in Jamaica, and my last time in Jamaica was in 2019 before COVID hit. It was awesome. I was actually able to go back and wrap some stuff up. It was pretty cool. But Egypt was totally completely unexpected. Like I said, I thought, I was
yeah,
just going to bring Egypt to me. And I knew that I had to bring in Egypt to me. Like, it was the what I've been studying over the last little while, in and out, and just, I've always been connected with Egypt, even when I was younger. And when I went to art school, when I went to art school in Nelson, I had made a block print in it, and it was an Egyptian kind of art thing that I created. So there was always a little bit of a connection there. But I think that I would end up in Egypt? No. No, that's something I wouldn't even have dared to dream. All I've ever wanted to do was dig my toes into the sand of Egypt, and I didn't even think I did that. So that's why I'm going back, back in August. But
amazing.
I fell in love. I definitely fell in love with Egypt and Cairo and Luxor and Aswan and just the whole country, the people, the religion. Like I learned a lot about the Muslim religion there. I've never ever been like very seen. My energy wasn't too much for anybody. It was like, where for years it's always been big. It's big energy. Like I understand that. I always understood that. It sucked, but I understood it. But in Egypt, it was just that's my outlet. Like that's like now I just close my eyes and I see the pyramids. I remember sleeping inside of the pyramid. Like
So
the
tell me
I
about
still
that.
have I still have my red string. Yeah, my red string. In
Tell me about
Buddhism,
that experience.
um, okay,
Why
first
why red string? Why red string? You have to wear red string to go into the pyramid?
no, no, I'm just gonna share this with you. So I went to Egypt. How I got there was through a friend, and she had already signed up for this initiation with this woman, and so it was an
Right,
initiation to Egypt, right? In Egypt. And so like in Buddhism, so that you understand, when you take an initiation, you get a red string, right?
right,
And prior to going to Egypt, I remember my Buddhist here. I remember when I went and took refuge, the Green Tara refuge. It was a Tara initiation, and I had gotten a red string, and I
where did I
had
where did I see Tara today? That synchronicity happening right now at this moment.
yeah. So you have the Tara, like right, the Green Tara, the White Tara, um, and so I had a red string, but I lost it over the years. So I was thinking, oh, I'd really like to get another red string. And so this is initiation to Egypt. So anyway, we're at the pyramids, and it's the whole group of ladies. There's 21 of us, and my runaway monk was mentioning, "Oh, that's Tara, right? Like the 21 Taras." And I'm just like, "Oh my God, it
Right.
makes sense, right?"
Oh God.
And
Yeah.
it was really weird, right? Because like here I am with 21 Taras, like 21. There's 21 of us, and so we're all in our red dresses, and we're all in the pyramids, and I don't know. The women start singing and chanting, and I was pretty low on sleep, because I was hanging out and just
Mhm.
vibing. Carl was incredible, and I ended up falling asleep in the pyramid. Oh my
Who
goodness!
gets to do that?
I did. It
Who
was like
gets to do that?
I
How
don't
you
know.
aren't you like not even allowed anywhere near there?
Like we had private time, we had private access, so like there was no other tourists but us, right? Like we had that in quite a few of a lot of the temples. It was an incredible that experience was incredible in itself
I want
to
to go
be.
back with you. Oh,
Well, I'm going back in oh yeah, so anyway, so let me get back to the story, and then I'll
the
tell you
red
about
string.
Egypt afterwards.
Yeah.
So I wake up, I go to all these different dimensions. It was so I'm still trying to articulate um what I experienced, like how I would put that into words, because it was really incredible. And then when I woke up, they were all around the chambers and they were singing, they're dancing. Anyway, long story short, I'm omitting a lot of details. I left the pyramid with everybody still inside, and the guide told me to sit, wait, and then I'm like, okay, fine. So then as soon as he told me I was okay to go, I'm like walking out of the pyramid, because it's just the way that I bolted back into my body from being in the sleep and seeing the women chanting and stuff. It was just like I got out, and then I walked out to the base of the pyramid, and I don't know. I started picking up cigarette butts. I didn't know what else to do. So I'm just running around and I'm picking up all the garbage and cigarette butts that I could find. I even find a garbage bag that's like stuck in between a couple of the rocks. I pull it out and I start, using that as my garbage bag. And then funny enough, I look at it was funny because I was asking for new shoelaces for my Bon Jovi shoes. And so sure enough, I look down and I see this one red shoelace. And
That's
so I went back to the pyramid guard that saw me when I was walking down the steps to get out of the pyramid, and I got him to tie it on my wrist, and so I've had it on ever since. So
oh
for me,
no.
this is my red string that I was asking back for the initiate my
Yeah.
Buddhist initiation. The fact that there was 20 women at the pyramid, it was just like
Yeah.
it just made so much sense that I
Everything
would
just
walk
fall into
away.
place.
with the red string, right? So, and of course, all our dresses were red. So it was like, I've kept it on and I'm going to keep it on for, I don't know how long. We'll see.
Yeah.
I have no intentions of taking it off. And then, yeah, it was a pretty incredible experience. And then that was just at the beginning of the trip. And then there was the boat itself with the 21 women going up and down the Nile. It was like the boat was called Embrace. So if I ever needed to embrace myself, the boat is called Embrace. I'm there during the month of Ramadan. The tour guide is called Muhammad Ramadan. Okay, so like all the Mohammeds, and we're like literally in the land of Mo's. Okay, there is like everybody is a Mohammed or a variation of Mohammed, and of
Wow.
course I'm creeping up on the 1 year anniversary of my grandson's grandfather Mohammed, because me and Mohammed
Oh
share.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was his 1 year anniversary of being dead, and I'm in the land of Mo's, and I go, oh, now I know how to seize the Mo mint, right? So it's so anyway, I
Oh my,
figured that out.
oh my God.
But like the boat was, there was a woman named Luna on the boat. There was a woman named Real, a woman named Stars, and a woman named Serenity, and I'm on a boat in Embrace, and it was one of the most incredible things. Any the leader of the group, things that she would say just resonated. It was so channeled and beautiful. It was like spirit was just working right through her. She recognized, like, it was just incredible. The tour guide Ramadan, he made sure that when we went to different temples, he made sure that he pulled me aside and gave me, what I was here looking for. Everybody that I came into contact with or connected with was just like, it was like, wow, Sufi. I kept getting called Sufi, and I'm like, okay, I gotta Google what Sufi means. And I was like, holy shit, yeah, that's me. And I've never been more accepted. And then there was a
Oh my
friend that I
God.
was hanging out with, and every
This is
time the call,
totally the perfect time for me to be interviewing you because you didn't have that before now, right? The Muhammad, the Sufiness and all that.
none of
That's
it.
so
I never
then
had any of
spirit
it.
line. Oh, I love spirit so much.
And that's why I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things, because I haven't got to this part of my journey yet. Which is
Right.
another funny thing. Every time that you talk about journey, do you remember when I went and got picked up my journey from the dealership, the journey that I drive every day,
The
the
journey
one
that
that's
you drive
yes,
every day.
yeah. So I go to pick that up, and Journeys Don't Stop Believing starts playing over the overhead. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? Really? This song is playing while I'm coming to pick up my journey? You gotta be kidding me, right? But
Yeah.
that's just the way that it goes, right? So like I
Yeah. So
didn't have all of that,
songs talk
right?
to me too. Songs talk to me too.
Yeah.
Signs
And then,
are all around me too.
oh,
And
yeah, so you just gotta embrace it. And this is where it's like, how can I not embrace who I am
yeah,
after being in
yeah.
Egypt? And then I met an incredible person when I was there. Um, which blew my mind, because I never thought, and I'm just like, I gotta be a little bit more specific. But then I'm in love with Egypt. Like, if there is any place in this earth besides Tibet, but then Tibet, I'm just up in a mountain and I'm meditating the whole time. Egypt, I get to at least play, I get to do stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But Tibet, not so much, right?
No.
Because I'll be just meditating the whole time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So Egypt would be like the kind of the sort of the next best bet. So, but I did meet somebody, and he's a tour guide. So, and I do have a travel and tourism diploma and hospitality diploma, because I got addicted to education there for a while, right? So I'm like,
Mm,
okay, well, let's try to put this to use. Maybe we can do our own group
right.
um, stuff.
Absolutely.
It's not as expensive as people think. Like
I
all
used
I
to do
did.
that. I used to help a guy do tours to Egypt. So, I did that for some time in my life too.
When you never went to
But I
Egypt,
never,
guys?
but I never went there. I never went there. I just helped his tours. I never got to go because
What?
just yeah, I didn't have the resources. I've studied Egypt all my life. I've done research on Aswan and all kinds of things, but
You
I've never been.
shy.
I've always wanted to be there or
Maybe,
go there, but I've never been there.
listen, we can totally make this happen. Okay, so I'm going back in August because I want to set it up, and I'm going to do like a little dry run, kind of a sort of a tour. I didn't get a lot of personal time that I
Right,
would have wanted with Egypt. It was because I went with under that group, right? So that
right.
took a huge chunk of my time, right? like 6 hours a day if I did it all was meditation and practice, right? So it was like, yeah, it was quite intense. Um, so I'm going back in August for a little bit for my friend's birthday and just spend some alone time with Egypt. And then I want to plan, the plan is to plan something for January, February of next year. And it's not that much. It's not, like he was telling me that I paid way more than what I needed to pay. And
Right.
I already found the logistics in terms of how much it costs to rent the boat that we were on for a
Right.
minimum of 5 days. So, like, from a marketing point of view, if we can get a group together, we can have a really incredible tour.
Yeah,
It's safe
I
and
used to do that.
informative.
We could figure that out. I knew tour guides there, but that was a long time ago. So I don't know if I
Yeah,
still.
this is now.
Yeah.
So the sites haven't changed much. They're still
Right.
there. Right? they're, they're still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
going anywhere.
Yeah. They're not going anywhere.
I would like to do something about the Nile. Like if we
Yeah.
can make up some kind of little cruise where we can do the Nile, where
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
we can clean it up where we go along. You know what I mean? Because like some of it, it was heartbreaking to see the garbage go up the Nile. So whatever we do plan, if we can try to rent the boat or something and try to clean up where we go, but
Take
there's so much.
fish. Take fish nets with us.
Yeah, something. We'll figure out something. I'll find out what kind of logistics I can. Like that's something that I would want to look in when I go
Yeah.
in August. Like,
Yeah.
can I do this? Am I allowed to do that? Like, where can we
Right.
go? How much is
Yeah.
this going to cost? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I know how much it's going to cost to rent a boat for the
Yeah.
5 days, a minimum 5 days, and that can give you a nice Nile cruise. It just
Yeah.
depending on where we want to go on the Nile, and that includes everything, the crew, the food, everything, right?
Right.
So like, and it was affordable depending on how many people we want to bring and where we
Right.
all want to go, which hotel we're going to do. I have
Yeah.
two hotels that we can choose from. One is the Dreas Pyramid View, and it's an incredible hotel. I love it. So it all depends on the size of the group. And
Right.
then the other one is the Regency where I was staying when I first got, which is a really beautiful hotel. It's just under construction. Man, if I wasn't tied to stuff, I would have been there painting. I could have
Wow.
painted from 12 to 4 every day.
Oh, yeah.
Paint for my,
Would have
my
loved to hear paintings from there. That would have
oh
been.
yeah. It would have been so cool. I so want to go back just to paint that hotel. But then I can paint the other one too, which I really like. And
Hey,
and they're
tell me about all your tarot decks.
I
And
have quite a few. I got
why
quite
do
a
you
few.
choose the Astral?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think it chose me and I'm kind of
So
just tied and bounded to it.
yeah.
Like it's like because I have issues with tarot cards and that I've been dealing with that for a long
Yeah.
time. And I actually since coming back from Egypt, I think I did a couple good good headway there because tarot does come from Egypt.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
it was so cool too because before I left, I was gifted an Egypt deck, an ancient Egyptian tarot deck. But what was funny about it is that day I was driving and I'm like, imagine having such an incredible life like I have, and then at the end of it, forget it, like you don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
And then I went to go see my girlfriend because she was lending me some clothes and she goes, "Oh, I have this deck for you," and it came from a woman that was well known in the community as a psychic medium who she always wanted to go to Egypt. She goes,
Right.
you should, I want you to have this deck.
Right.
This is my
Right.
best friend's mom's deck." And it turns out that she was experiencing dementia. So she's going through Alzheimer's or she's
Oh
losing all
wow.
her memory, right? But she was a very well-known, prominent psychic medium. So I was like, wow. And the next thing you know, I'm going to Egypt with this beautiful Egyptian deck. So I was working on that a little bit and I was reading the book that came with it and it was like really good. And I was like, okay. So I was like, okay. So I was finally reading and I'm embracing. I was basically embracing the whole time, everything. It was just incredible. And I got this beautiful gift which is just incredible, right? My
Oh,
own.
that's beautiful. What is that?
This one says it's oh I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
Katush,
I have this one. Can you see it? Oh, hang on.
yeah, with the rainbow tarot. What was it?
No, hold on. Uh,
No, I can just, it just your background keeps taking it out. Just read it. What does it say?
Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, the Rumi Tarot. Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
my tarot deck. It's pretty broken and old and all that, but that's my tarot deck. It's the Rumi
Pull a
one.
card for me. Pull a card for me, Cheryl.
Sure.
Let's see what it says. I'll be curious.
These are really cool cards too. They're like the traditional. Okay, love, joy, peace, and light. Thank you for all love, joy, peace, and light. God be more so everyone. Thank you all for all. God do, God do, God. Okay, it's the Knight of Staves. The
Okay.
Elif rejoices and fulfills your wishes.
See that again?
The Elif rejoices and fulfills your wishes.
All right.
Should I read it to you?
Sure.
The Knight of Staves. I think that's from the Major Arcana, right?
Minor. The knight?
The
Yeah,
Knight,
it's the staves. You're looking at the wands.
Of course I am. Okay. A richly garbed sultan with an amber-colored turban is shown seated upon a carpet with a dish of fruit. With a dish of fruit, decanter, and drinking cup beside him. Towers and domes are visible behind him. In his hand, he bears a golden scepter or stave or staff. The king of staves stands for a wise source of counsel and advice that may guide us to great success.
Hmm.
The meaning of this card is impartial counsel, unforeseen legacy. This card is all about honesty, uprightness, successful business dealings.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Cool.
That's
Yay.
interesting.
So
Yeah, I know it's been incredible ride so far. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going on in the road ahead. So
oh, wait. I read the wrong one because I read the King of Staves, right? It's the Knight of Staves. Sorry, Knight of Staves. Sorry. Oh, yeah, here it is. Knight of Staves. Where are you? Come on, where do I find it again? In the
minor.
Ace of Staves, 10, no, Ace of Staves, 2 of Staves, 3 of Staves,
It's near the end.
5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
You should be right about there. Next one. You have the page. Then the knight, then the queen, then the king.
Ace, 3, 4.
It's at the back. At the end.
It wasn't.
No, it should be 10, then the page, then the knight, then
So
the king.
after 10 of Staves comes the Ace of Coins.
Well, then you may have in that book you may have court cards then, because it's a court card.
Okay, hold on. That was really weird. I see the Ace of Staves, and then it goes to 1. So where would the court cards be at the end?
I don't know. They should be all together. Maybe look at the back in the index.
There it is. Knight of Staves. Found it. Okay, here we are. Is that right? Knight of Staves? Yeah, that's it. The leaf rejoices and fulfills your wishes. Here it is. This is the right one. A majestic knight dressed in an orange and green tunic and steel helmet is depicted seated on his horse. He bears the scepter, the stave, and also a bow and a quiver of arrows. He rides through a hilly landscape against a blue sky with white clouds. The verse alludes to the alif, which is the first letter of the Arabic alphabet. In Sufi esoteric symbolism, it stands for the supreme unity.
Sufism. See?
Yeah. This is, well, Rumi is Sufi. The Knight of Staves is a symbol of initiative, drive, and fearless questing into the unknown. There you go. That's the meaning: departure from the familiar intuition and into the unfamiliar intuition.
Okay, sounds right.
There, that's better.
That sounds like dead on. Mm.
That sounds
Hmm.
what?
That sounds dead on. Both of
Yep.
them did, actually.
Both of them actually did. Yeah. I guess we were supposed to read both of them.
Mm.
Cool. That was fun. We got to do a reading too.
Yes. It was fun. We have to do this again.
We absolutely will. I love you, Angel. Thank you for
Mm.
this interview. And I hope to do more interviews. And I want to do one just on your travels, like we talked about.
Again, very, I fell in love with Egypt. Like, I mean,
Wow.
I don't even know how to begin to explain it, right? So I guess that would be that conversation because it was like, you know, a homecoming for me. It was like, okay, at least now, and that's my oldest daughter. So she saw me struggle a lot with my energy and my
Right.
psychic ability and my mediumship and all this shit, right? And so we brought some peace for her too to know that, you know, that I'm okay and I know where I can go. You know, aside from Azina, which was incredible. Do you know what I mean? But like I'm going with Xena intent on bringing Egypt to with me. So like
Well,
next thing you know, I'm in Egypt. So it's like at least when I'm home, I can go back to Xena and I will be doing. That's another place that we can do incredible workshops out of. And I retreat. It's just incredible. And again, we get the whole facility. So
there's
and
a
I
lot
know,
to do together. I can't wait.
yeah, it's gonna be good. I just need help. I can't do everything by myself. I know that I can't.
I
So I'm
know feeling so well.
right. And I'm ready for it though. I'm ready to accept it, right? And I'm ready to ask for it and see what happens. I know I can't be doing all of this alone and I know I was not supposed to be. That's why I was always so excited when I met you guys because it would be like, ah, but then it's like, no, not now. I'm like, what? No. And then you get scared. You think it's never gonna happen. And then it's
Yeah.
like, no, Angel, no.
I,
That's me stepping into the unknown because I don't know, but I know enough to know that I don't need to know and
as
that I
I
can
said,
trust.
not now, that means it was definitely supposed to happen at some time, right? Even though it
Well,
wasn't,
yeah. Yeah,
right?
it was just always not now, but then you get scared because the years are ticking by. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? You're getting older and you're like, what the fuck? When
totally
is this
know.
gonna happen or is it not? You know? But then you throw me into Egypt the way that you did, and then I'm supposed to be like, now I'm like literally now what? Now what do we do? So I know
And
that
you've
I've got
been, and since ever since just before you left for Egypt to when you got back from Egypt, you've been so on my mind, and I knew like I had to contact you, and we had to get this done. And look, it's done, even though it
I
took
know.
2 tries. Like what
Three.
the frick?
Three tries. Three tries. Well, we got it. Third times. We needed that Trinity in there, Cheryl. So I'm gonna
Yes,
leave the editing up to you. I actually got a lot of footage from Egypt that I would like to edit too. Like let's talk. Let's talk
yeah,
afterwards and
yeah,
see how we can help each other out. And then let's get you to
absolutely,
Egypt. We'll plan that
yes,
for January, February. Plan that.
we'll do it.
Seriously.
Absolutely, I
It's not
will.
as much as you think that it is. And if we're doing it and we're marketing and promoting it, we could have a good thing. You know? You deserve that. If you plan all this for this guy for I don't know how long, I'm hearing quite a bit. You deserve to go. So let's try to make that happen. It was incredible. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna probably plan to retire there. Like I'm gonna
Wow,
buy an apartment there. Like I'm
wow.
gonna buy it because it's not that expensive. and then I could just go back and forth as much as I want, and I've got access to I got access
Wow.
to Egypt. You know what I mean? Like
Wow.
that makes a huge difference in my world to know that I got access to
Yeah.
that place, right? And it's like in some areas, it's like it's never been touched. It's
Yeah.
just still the same as the biblical days, you know?
Oh my God.
I
We
know.
gotta go. We gotta go.
Yep. January. I'm going back by myself in August. If you can make it happen, that's fine, but I'm gonna be ditching you, just so you
Okay.
know. But in
August
January,
August is Thomas's 1 year anniversary on August 4th, so
oh,
should be
well, I
interesting.
wouldn't be going till the end because I need to be there for somebody's birthday, right? And
Okay.
that's near the end of the month. So,
Okay.
but then, like I said, I'm going to be
Never
planning.
know.
You never know
Never
if you want
know.
to.
I'll let you know. Yeah, spirit. Well, we'll see what spirit does to me because they pull me in all these different directions without my.
If you want to come in August, you're more than welcome to. It's not
Okay.
a big deal. It's not like I'm refusing not to let anybody come. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's a test run for me, and there's a lot of things that I want to check it out. But yeah, no, you're more than welcome. The airfare wasn't that expensive either, so it's like you just gotta, you know, watch what we tell ourselves. You know, you say you
Yeah.
can't do something, then you're making it so that you can, and you're saying
Right.
that you can. You know, you're putting that energy out there. I will
Absolutely.
never do that again. I always like all the time. Now it's like, do you want me to? It's not a question of whether or not if I can or I can't. Is that what you want? Is that what's going
Yeah.
on? Okay, make it happen. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
about, I could ask what I want and it seems like I get it.
Yeah.
So it's like
Absolutely.
I'm happy. I'm really happy and I'm in
Glad you're
love
happy.
with my life. Love with my relationship with God and spirit. So however
Yeah.
we can share that, that is good for me.
Ditto. I love you, Angel. Thank you for this interview,
You're
and
welcome.
we'll do it again. And
Should do
I'm
it again.
exhausted. I'm exhausted all my questions for now. I can't think of any more, thank God. But I think we covered everything that we had
You
before.
covered quite a bit. There was quite a bit there. And then
Yeah.
there's still so much I could have answered you in back, but this is a good start. Considering that it's taken us this long to get it happening, it's a good start.
Okay. I love you, and we'll talk again soon.
You
Thank you,
bet.
Angel.
You're welcome, honey. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.